So last time we discussed about the research process, if you remember that, no? And one of the basic requirements in doing a research is that there should be a problem. And we also discussed last time that quantitative research, as the term implies, would require a lot of statistical tools or techniques, meaning you must have a working knowledge or good or very good knowledge about statistics for you to understand quantitative research design. And the identification of the quantitative research design, sorry, is not instantaneous. Parang you will not directly assume, naku, may COVID yata ako. We do not directly assume, nasa mid lang ako, wala akong COVID We do not directly assume that our paper is quantitative unless we undergo a specific process in arriving at deciding whether our research paper is a quantitative, a qualitative, or a mixed method research design. No? Kaya nga, ito yung gusto kong baguhin sa mga researchers ngayon because one of the common mistakes when they do their research, hindi pa man natatapos yung conceptualization ng paper, they already have an idea. They already will conclude that, good afternoon, Sir Fernan, they will immediately conclude that their paper will be quanti, quali, or mixed. No, it's not the proper way. There is a scientific method by which we can identify, we can choose either we are going to use quantitative or qualitative, or the use of mixed method designs. No? So that's the thing that I'd like to highlight this afternoon, that when doing a research paper, we need to have a step-by-step procedure. And last time, we already started with the discussion of the research process, and we mentioned that the first phase in doing a quantitative research paper is conceptualization phase. As the term implies again, this means that we are conceptualizing, we will be conceptualizing the kind of quantity research paper that we will be working on. And under conceptualization phase, there are steps that are going to be followed. Since research is a scientific method in order for us to answer any problem or problem solving, it means to say that we need to observe a step-by-step procedure. It also means to say that you cannot go to higher level of steps of procedure without following through the different steps. No? So pag sinabing step-by-step, that is scientific. You need to proceed with step number 1 muna before number 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., etc. So when we conceptualize our research paper, it is important that we are able to identify, we have a topic in mind. We should be able to identify a topic. And that is followed by review of literature. No? After reviewing the literature, we develop hypothesis or proposition, including framework. In our case, since we are quantitative, most commonly used method for quantitative is IBDV model, no, quantitative, making inferences, IBDV model. And finally, formulation of objectives. No? So that is part of the conceptualization phase. After we conceptualize our research paper, that's the time that we proceed to the design. As I've mentioned, we need to conceptualize first for us to be able to identify what kind of research design we are going to use. We're going to formulate our research plan. And this will include identification of different quanti designs. Kasi ang quanti, marami pa yan. Merong descriptive, experimental, etc., etc. So we should be able to identify proper design according to the conceptualized topic. Is my voice clear? Is my voice clear?
Yes po.
Yes
Loud
po,
and
sir.
Okay, sige. Yung aking video, okay din. Clear din po. Kita po ako.
Yes po.
Napuputol
Yes
po.
po, sir.
Napuputol. Napuputol ako?
Sa akin po, sir, okay naman po.
Okay lang din po siya
Yung mahina po yung connection sa akin, sir.
Oh, sa'yo pala. Sa'yo pala mahina. Anong gusto mong gawin ko para mapalakas ko ang connection mo? Sige.
Okay, sir. Napuputol din po.
Napuputol din sa iyo. Naku, pag ganyan ang ating usapan, baka alas 10 na ng gabi, hindi pa tapos. Anyway, the reason why I am recording this, para sa may mga internet connection problem, at least pwede niyong i-browse back, no? Pwede niyong balikan later on. Pag maganda ng internet connection niyo, mag-load na kayo na ano bang niyo, connection? Ano? Huwag na, baka sabihin niyo nagpa-plug pa ako. Anyway, basta pag maganda na ang data niyo, saka na kayo mag-review na lang ng video, no? Recorded naman tong ating klase. Check ko nga. Okay, naka-record tayo. All right? And then after that, after the design phase, we will proceed to the empirical phase. Empirical phase would mean data gathering or data collection. This is the phase where we go to the stage of collection during the non-pandemic, face-to-face ang ating gathering of data. But because today's pandemic, data gathering is no longer face-to-face. We need to use an online survey instrument. Okay? Wait for a minute. All right, so this is the time when we gather data, and during the pandemic situation, we need to ensure that we are safe. And during this pandemic situation, it is important that we are technologically oriented, no? Now, if we need assistance, kung meron tayong mga friends na IT, magpapatulong tayo kasi we need to develop a survey instrument that is online, or what we call Google Form, para makapag-data gather tayo. Ang mahalaga, during this time of pandemic, face-to-face data gathering is definitely not allowed. After we gather the data, we make sense of them. We make sense of them through the use of different softwares, either the very simple Excel that can facilitate the processing of your data. And meron din tayong tinatawag na SPSS, or Statistical Package for Social Sciences. So after processing your data, we make sense of the data that we gather. It's not enough that we gather data, but it is also important that upon gathering them, we process them either manually or using software. Pero sa panahon ngayon, digital age, di na uso ang manual, no? Di na yung mga magme-memorize ka ng mga more formula. Pag ako nagtuturo ng stat, di na ako nagpapa-manual compute. It's more of how to use software and how to make sense of the computed data. That is far more important than memorizing the formula. So therefore, when you analyze and interpret and make conclusions, you are actually under analytical phase. And everyone is reminded that when you make analysis, interpretation, and conclusion, the analysis, interpretation, and conclusion must always be based on data. In short, hindi tayo magkukonclude nang wala tayong data. Kasi kung nag-conclude tayo na walang data, ano ulit yung tinatawag natin doon? Conclusions without data? What do we call, how do we call them? What is,
Wali po.
ah?
Null.
When
Wala
you-
lang po.
Wala lang. Okay. Ano pag sinabing wala lang,
Hinulaan lang po.
Yes.
Hinulaan.
lang.
Valid
Oo.
or not reliable.
Ayun na lang, Mema, ganon.
Yes po.
Oo. So ganyan ang trabaho ng mga chismosa, Mema, no? Mema sabi lang. So hindi tayo nagchichismisan sa research kasi ang mga chismosa, yan yung mga nagpapalaganap ng mga kwento na wala namang basihan. Ito ay scientific research, therefore, lahat ng ipapalaganap nating kwento, lahat ng gagawin nating conclusions must always be based on data. Ang tawag natin doon is evidence-based research. Did you get that? All right, sige. So,
Yes po.
thank you. So, ibig sabihin, if you are done with the analytical phase, that would mean to say, natapos ka na ng final defense mo. So usually, itong conceptualization and design phase, pang ano yan, proposal defense if you are done with that. And then you will go to data gathering upon approval of your proposed paper. And then after the data gathering, you will make your final paper, and that is what you call analytical phase. And of course, we do not want to our paper to be stuck in our laptops, to be stuck in our bookshelves or in the library gathering dust. We would like the findings of the study to be disseminated. Kaya ang tawag sa kanya is dissemination phase because upon dissemination, that means to say that we are going to communicate the findings of the study for possible utilization. Utilizations are in two forms. No, utilization could mean the findings of your study was cited by another authorities, by another author, by future researchers. Utilization could also be application or localization or adoption rather of the findings of your study in your respective department. No, if you are in the Department of Education, then there is a big possibility that the findings of your study can be utilized by the Department of Education, specifically the school heads, the principals, the teachers, no? So yun ang tinatawag nating utilization of findings. And the utilization of findings, if that is developmental in nature, yung mga taga-DepEd dito, alam natin pag sinabing innovation, yan. So, di ba, pag innovation, ginagamit yan. So, nagkakaroon ng utilization. Yun ang maganda. But another way of doing that is through publication. Ibig sabihin, you publish the findings of your research paper in reputable journals so that future researchers can have an access on your research paper that was published. And therefore, iikot siya from dissemination to conceptualization phase. Sa palagay ninyo, from steps number 1 to 5 under conceptualization phase, steps 1 to 5, saan dyan magagamit yung dissemination phase?
Review of
literature.
Very good.
Literature.
Literature.
Very good. All right. Very good. Future researchers, when you publish the research paper, can access, if that is available online, they can access your literature, your findings, and therefore they will utilize the findings of your study by reviewing the literature. That is why the trend right now is either you publish or you perish. No? However good you are, but if you do not leave any legacy in the area of research, after some time, you will be forgotten kasi nga hindi ka nag-publish ng research works mo. So importante po ang publication. And during this pandemic time, libraries are closed. So how can you go to the library and how will you be able to search for literature through online? Did I mention to you that I'm going to give you an access to EBS co-host?
Yes po.
Yes po, sir, last time po.
Yes po.
Okay. Oo, sabi ko nga pala maagang pamasko ko sa inyo yun. Kasi ang doves right now, baka nasa stage pa ng purchase. Ewan ko lang kung meron na. So ipapagamit ko muna sa inyo yung access ko from other school. Wala nang problema yon because sharing is caring. Okay lang mag-share, no? So the first step in conceptualization phase is topic identification. We need to identify the topic that we would like to work on. We mentioned last time that we need to be knowledgeable about the topic that we would like to work on. That is why it is important that when we ask about our topic, the topic must be aligned with our field of specialization. Your program is EdD, major in educational management. Tama po ba? So dapat you are going to identify, thank you, you're going to identify topics that are aligned with educational management. So ano ibig sabihin nun? You are going to go back to the major subjects that you've gotten from your program, from EdD program, no? And then after identifying a topic that is aligned with your discipline, by the way, you are going to select your own topic. When we say topic, we're talking about independent variable and dependent variable. So, review lang natin. Alam nyo na to. The difference between the two is that dependent variable, as the term implies, is dependent on the independent variable. Meaning to say, any changes that are happening in the dependent variable is dependent on or caused by the independent variable. Parang cause and effect. No? Na-discuss ko na yung last time, ano? Not yet. All right. So when you say cause and effect, that is IVDB. IV is the cause, effect is the effect. The effect is the DV, no? Example, when I ask you, what makes you happy? What are the sources of your happiness? Anyone?
Food.
Food. Ayan. Kapag may food daw, happy siya.
Dancing, sir.
Family, sir.
Family. Family makes you happy. Si Saldi, sabi niya family daw.
Dancing, sir.
Money.
Ano yun, Saldi? Sorry.
Dancing, sir.
Dancing?
Opo.
Talaga? Mukhang ano ka, mukhang meron kang sideline sa gabi. Sige, dancing
Hindi ko.
makes him happy. Narinig ko kanina, money. All right. Ano pa?
Love life.
Aray.
Tama.
Aray.
Sana
Tama.
all.
Wala ka pa, Sir Saldi. Grabe ka naman.
Zero,
love
zero,
life.
zero.
Wish you, Sir Saldi.
Oo. Kaya lang, ang sabi ni Richard, no money, no honey. So money down muna bago magkaroon ng honey. All right. So the answers that you provided, no, are all correct based on your own experience, but we call them independent variables. The factors contributory to happiness are called independent variables. And happiness is a variable also, which is called dependent variable. So yun ang difference ng independent and dependent variable. Example, ano lang yun, very, very basic lang yun. Ilapat na natin sa educational management. For example, the SBM performance, no? The SBM performance may be an example of dependent variable. And the SBM performance may be dependent on many factors. Halimbawa, the leadership style of the school heads, no? Kung nagagawa niya ba yung kanyang pagiging leader during the time of pandemic. Therefore, ngayon ay magkakaroon na ng mga evaluation, IPCRF, OPCRF, no? What are the factors that are affecting the SBM performance? Therefore, those are what we call, the factors are what we call independent variable. Parang ganon. Or let's say teachers' job satisfaction is an example of independent variable. That when teachers are satisfied, they can become performer. Their teaching performance will also be improved if that is your hypothesis, IVDV. So IV is teacher's job satisfaction and DV is teaching performance. Parang ganon. So you are going to browse your major subjects and you will look for a topic, rather topics, kasi IVDV. In your case, doctoral naman kayo, pwede na sigurong dalawang IV, isang DV, kung quantitative ang gagawin ninyo. And then, you just have to ensure that the topics that you're going to identify are logical in nature. When I say logical, yung inilagay mo sa IV ay pang IV at yung inilagay mo sa DV ay pang DV. Hindi pwede baligtaran. No? Sa ibang bagay, pwede yon. Pero dito sa research, hindi pwede ang baligtaran. No? Pag sinabing IV, IV siya. Pag sinabing DV, DV dapat siya. So you will use your critical thinking and logical skill in identifying the IV and DV. Secondly, it must be aligned with your discipline. No? Dapat pang educational management siya. No? Pang ano siya, pag sinabing educational management, manager. No? Pang manager siya. Pang ano siya? Pang school heads. Or pang superintendent yung study mo kung gusto mo. Parang naalala ko meron dito yung taga-SDO. Tama ba ang aking memory? Kasi parang binaha yung utak ko kaya nakalimutan ko eh. Meron ba rito yung taga
Yes po.
SDO Angeles?
Yes po, SDO Angeles.
Ayan, napakadaming topic ng ating DepEd Division Office, no? Na pwede nating pagkuwanan, no? For as long as those topics are aligned with the major subjects that you've taken in the program or in the EdD program. And if you remember, you have this basic education research agenda na meron ding theme na governance, no? So yun, pang management yun. Kasi pag ang ginamit mo ay teaching and learning, pang teacher yun, hindi yun pang management. Dapat nun ang iyong masteral ay Master of Arts in Teaching. No? So hindi bagay yung teaching and learning, no? Dapat bagay sa inyo mga governance, leadership, management, etc. etc. Right? So that's the first one. For those who are in the higher ed, alam ko meron taga higher ed na dalawa dito. You're going to visit again, I mentioned the NERA 2, or the National Higher Education Research Agenda. And for those who are in the basic education, you may visit the Basic Education Research Agenda. At the same time, you will also align those topics with the subjects that you've taken in the EdD program. Take note of the subjects. The subjects must be about your major subjects, not the elective and not the core subjects. Kundi, ang tawag doon is professional ba tawag nyo ron? Professional or major subjects, no? So kung halimbawa, ito yung curriculum sample lang to, no? Merong sa taas, merong core, major subjects, cognate, no? So therefore, ang kukunin mo rito, itong mga major subjects na nakuha mo. Sample lang yan, no? All right. So ito yung sample matrix na pwede mong since EdD na kayo, pwede yung gawing template. Pero itong template na to ay parang pang teacher to, no? Hindi ito pang management. Halimbawa, field of study, educational management ng MAED. Tapos ilalagay nyo rito yung mga major subjects na nakuha ninyo dito, no? And then, sorry. Sorry, nag-ano lang. Nag-ang ang aking PowerPoint. Ayusin ko lang. Sabi sa akin ng tatay ko, nag-ang dahil may haas. ako ang kapampangang hilaw. Kapampangan kami pero aliko. Aliko biyasa. Kapampangan. How I wish. All right, so this is the template that you're going to use, no? The template on in identifying a topic. You're going to write again the major subjects that you've taken here, and then you're going to select one subject or two subjects that you are very interested, that you are very knowledgeable. Ito example ito sa teacher instructional management, and then out of that subject, you're going to look for your syllabi, o kung dalawa, syllabi, kung isa lang syllabus, and then you're going to identify an IV and a DV, no? IV, DV, or independent variable, dependent variable. Sample lang to, no? Pero you may select a management topic. Halimbawa, ito yung pang teacher, teaching strategy and academic achievement. Actually, pwede rin siya po management, kaya lang parang pang-masteral mababa siyang level, pang-masteral level ito. So you dapat talagang management subjects. And then you ask yourself, how well do I understand the concepts in the chosen area of interest? Dapat you check excellent kasi syempre ikaw na namili ng topic mo, tas knowledgeable ka pa. So either excellent or very good. Yung mga tipong, ito yung mga topics na hindi mo makakalimutan, napapaniginipan mo, nag-sleep talk ka pa habang dahil sa sobrang love na love mo yung topic na yan, or siguro nagalingan ka sa prof kaya naaalala mo yung mga subjects na diniscuss niya, parang gano'n. So dapat yung topic na kinuha mo, ang rating mo ay either excellent or very good. Kasi hindi ko matatanggap na kayo na namili ng topic, area of interest nyo pa, favorite topic nyo pa, tapos nilagay nyo rito poor or fair. So dapat either excellent or very good lang. And then after identifying a topic, for example, you identify teaching strategy and academic achievement, you now go to review of literature. Review of literature. Conceptual literature, there are three types of literature by the way. Are you familiar that there are three types of literature? Pa-type nga po sa ating chat box. Are you familiar? Yes or no? With that there are three types of literature. All right, so good. At least may bago ako ma-share sa inyo. The three types of literature are conceptual literature, research literature, and gray literature. When we say conceptual literature, these are concepts, as the term implies, these are concepts. And this type of literature are non-research. Ibig sabihin, example of these are theories, propositions, laws, Deped Order, Republic Acts, etc., etc. Those are what we call conceptual literature. When we say naman research literature, these are actual researches that are published in different reputable journals. And when you say published, naka-IMRAD siya, introduction, methodology, results, and discussion. IMRAD type yung ating research literature. Yung gray literature, ito yung mga thesis and dissertation na nasa library na punong-puno ng alikabok kasi walang bumubuklat, no? Hindi pa siya published, gray literature. So it is suggested that when we get the literature, 10% of the literature must be conceptual, 90% must be research literature, and none should be coming from the gray literature. Ang tanong ay, pwede bang ang gray literature in the future maging research literature? Question. Pwede bang ang gray literature in the future ay maging research literature?
Possible po, sir.
Possible.
Yes po.
Possible ba? Yes. O how?
If
Publish.
Pag na-publish po.
Kapag pinablish po,
Yun. So therefore the lesson is that after finishing your dissertation or even your master's paper, you can convert that into IMRAD and then look for a journal where the research paper is cited. Then you can publish your master's thesis so that it's no longer part of the gray literature. Instead, it will become research or part of the research literature. No? Teka lang, may tumutok-tok. Papapasukin ko lang. Sino kaya yung tumutok-tok sa atin? Okay na, wala na. Okay, so those are the three types of literature. Of course, when we talk about literature, our literature must have a combination of both international and local. International and local. Pero lumang format na yung hinihiwala yung local literature sa international or foreign literature. The trend right now, according to American Psychological Association or the APA, it must be presented thematically. Ano yung thematically? According to theme, according to topics or topical. Topical, no? Kasi pag sinabi mong topical, parang pinapahid sa balat. Topical, no? According to topics. So, ibig sabihin, you are going to present themes like teaching strategy and academic achievement. So therefore, when you look for literature, you're going to look for topics about teaching strategy and academic achievement. So ang IV mo rito ay ano? Ano muna ang DV?
Teaching strategies, sir.
Ano yung teaching strategy?
Yung DV po. Tapos, yung performance ng mga bata, yun yung IV. Kasi independent yun sa teaching strategies ng mga teachers.
Independent or dependent?
Ay, dependent.
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 Sabi sa inyo, sa ibang bagay, okay ang baligtaran, pero dito hindi kayo pwedeng magbaligtad. No? O ulit, rewind. Ikakat ko na lang yung sa video yung part na yon. Again. Which one is DV and which one is IV?
DV teaching strategies po.
Which one is DV?
Performance
Yes, performance po.
Academic achievement. Wala namang performance na nakalagay dyan.
Academic.
Academic achievement. Ang DV.
Independent.
Strategy po.
Tapos ang IV ay teaching
Strategies.
strategies. Alright, tama yon. Okay, so ganun mag-identify ng topic, no? IV, DV. And that's the time that you review the literature. After you identify a topic and you're knowledgeable about the topic, then you go to the review of literature. Alright? Why you need to review the literature? Because you will be reading the findings of the literature. Example, you read 50 articles or research papers about teaching strategy and academic achievement. However, upon reading the findings, take note of the findings, the findings of the studies are contradicting with one another, no? Ano ibig sabihin ng contradicting with one another? Halimbawa, 30 of the authors found out that teaching strategies can significantly influence the academic achievement of the students. However, there are 20 authors or 20 research papers who found out that teaching strategy cannot significantly affect or influence the academic achievement of the students. So you will notice that there are conflicting findings. Pa-thumbs up nga po kung clear. Ibig sabihin, there are conflicting findings. Sa Tagalog, naghahaway-haway ang mga findings natin. Oo. Hindi sila nagkakasundo, nagkakaiba-iba. Alright? And we call that conflicting findings as blind spot. When there are conflicting findings, therefore, ang iyong na-found out na problem ay blind spot. Blind spot po is one of the research problem indicators. A true research should have a problem. And a true problem should be coming from the gap in the literature. And the true gap in the literature must be read by downloading articles and reading the findings of the articles that we downloaded. Kaya ang requirement po sa research, either quanti, quali, or mixed, is reading. Reading po ang kailangan. Sa pagbabasa, ano ang kakailanganin sa pagbabasa? Siyempre, ano? May I know from the EdD students? Pag nagbasa po ba, anong kailangan natin?
Understanding, comprehension.
O, di sige. Okay, tama yon. Sige, basic.
Reading materials.
Okay, oo, may reading. Oo nga, bibigyan ko.
Sources.
Okay na, yun. Bibigyan ko kayo ng sources. Pero may sources kayo, pero para mabasa yun, anong kailangan ninyo?
Time and
Time.
effort.
Focus.
Ha?
Time and effort, sir.
Time and effort, syempre. Kasi kahit bigyan ko kayo ng access, kung di nyo naman pagbibigyan ng time and effort at babasahin yun, baliwala din yun. That's why research is about reading. You need to read a lot of literature in quantitative research design because you need to look for conflicting findings. Conflicting findings about the effect of teaching strategy on academic achievement of the students. When there are conflicting findings, anong tawag doon?
Blinds.
Blind.
Blank spot.
Blind. Go. Blind.
Blind spot.
Very good. Okay. Sige. Let's change the variable. Let's say your variable is your DV is academic achievement and the IV is the fashion statement or the fashion style of the student. Can anyone tell me what fashion style is?
Fashion style, is it the way they dress po ba?
Pwede yun. The way they dress, the way they
The way
carry
they appear?
the
Are
appearance.
they punk? Are they groovy like that?
Oo, yun. Fashion statement o fashion style. Yung pananamit nila at pagdadala nila sa sarili nila. So, parang ang gusto mong topic is whether the fashion statement or fashion style of the student, can that have an effect on their academic achievement? Parang IV mo is fashion statement and DV mo is academic achievement. So that's the first step. You identify a topic. However, upon looking for literature, wala masyadong nakasulat. Wala kang makitang articles. Wala kang makitang research paper published about the effect of fashion style on students' academic achievement. Wala kang nakita. So pag wala kang nakita, ang tawag doon ay, ano isang natitirang spot na nandyan?
Blank spot.
Blank spot.
Blank
Blank spot.
Okay, so therefore we call it blank spot kasi wala nga eh. Kanina, nahilo ka, kaya ka na, parang naging bulag, nabulag ka, blind. Kasi ang dami nilang findings, pero iba-iba yung sinasabi nila. Tumaas ang BP mo, nahilo ka. Nag 200 over 300 yung BP mo. Kaya tawag doon, blind spot sa dami ng findings na binasa mo. Pero iba-iba yung sinasabi nila. Diba? Ito namang blank spot, naghahanap ka, hindi ka nahilo. Wala kang makita, blank talaga. kasi wala masyadong research paper o walang research findings masyado. So those are what we call research problem indicators. And the problems po, my dear colleagues in education, are not the personal problems that we are experiencing, are not the personal problems of our peers, of our neighbors, of our politicians, no, of the community. Rather, the problems in the literature, or what we call GAP. Ano yun pag binasa mo?
Gap.
Gap. Oo. Parang ngipin ko, merong 1 seat apart, no? May gap. So pag may gap, may problema, di ba? Di kayo nag-uusap, nagkagalit kayo ng shota mo, no? Ng girlfriend mo, ng boyfriend mo. Di kayo nag-usap, nag-away pala kayo. So may gap. So there is a problem. Ganun din sa research. Pag may mga pag-aaway din, no? O may pag-aaway or contradicting or conflicting findings, may problem sa literature. May problem ka sa yun ang problem mo sa research. Or kung di mo sila nag-aaway, wala kang makita, hindi nagkikita. So may gap pa din sa literature kasi walang makita. So those are the two research problem indicators. And why do I need to underscore these two spots? Alam ko, yung iba dyan, ibang spots ang hinahanap eh. Pero ang pinag-usapan lang natin, blind spots at saka blank spot. Oo. Si Elaine yata may naisip ang ibang spot eh.
Dark spots po.
Dark spot. Kasi kung ano man yung mga spots na naisip ninyo, sa inyo na lang yan. No? Basta sa research, ano na lang, ang tawag lang natin, ang hinahanap natin is blind spot and blank spot. Kaya ang sinasabi ko, research is about solving a problem that requires systematic process. And pag sinabing systematic process, step-by-step procedure. Step 1, topic identification, topic. Step number 2, reviewing the literature. Kasi when you review the literature will tell you whether you have a blind spot or a blank spot. Nakuha niyo po ba yon? Now, in blind spot, when you found out that there is a blind spot, meaning to say that the findings are conflicting with one another, you need to test the hypothesis. That is why blind spot would require hypothesis testing. Pag sinabing hypothesis testing, statistical or non-statistical?
Statistical.
Yun. Pag sinabing statistical, numerical or non-numerical?
Numerical.
So therefore, ang inyong research design sa blind spot ay quantitative research design.
Correct.
On the other hand, when there is none, no? When there is no literature related to your topic, kaya nga blank, your goal is not to test, maingay po, not to test the hypothesis. No? You're not going to test the hypothesis. Rather, pag wala, anong gagawin?
Formulate hypothesis.
You infer.
Pwedeng formulate? Ano pa?
Wali.
Kasi wala eh. So anong gagawin mo pag wala? Anong goal mo? Kanina kasi marami, pero conflicting. And you would like to test the acceptability or rejectability of the hypothesis. Kaya nga merong either you accept or reject the null hypothesis. May hypothesis testing. Pero dito sa blank spot, wala kang iti-test kasi wala kang nga masyadong mabasa eh. So what are you going to do?
Change the topic.
Change the topic.
Assume.
What else?
You'll make your own framework po based from your
You make your own framework based from your
Pali mo na lang yan.
based dun sa mga answers po ng mga respondents.
Aha. Sige.
Equally na
Give
lang.
up na lang yan, sir.
Ano no?
Equally na lang.
Give up na lang po yan.
I-give up na lang. Hindi ko ilalagay yan dyan kung hindi importante. Yan, may meaning yan, ibig sabihin. Kaya talaga ang bilis nyo yung mag-give up. Don't give up. Sir Fernan, okay lang kung nawawala ang net mo. Nasa bundok ka. Buti ka pa ba nasa bundok ka? Di ba sa bundok din na binabaha, no? Kaya lang mahangin na lang.
Lakas daw pong hangin.
Oo. Kaya siguro, okay lang, may recorded naman tayo. So ako na nga, okay, based sa mga sinabi niyo, siguro hindi niyo lang ma-hit yung tamang word. Pero nandoon naman na medyo tumatama naman ng konti. Kaya lang medyo malayo lang ng konti. Medyo, parang yung layo niya from Malolos to Pampanga. So, kung wala, ibig sabihin, there is a scarcity of literature. What you need to do is to generate new hypotheses, generate new knowledge. That's why generation yan. At pag sinabing generation, wala kang number dyan. Kanina may number, quanti. Ngayon, pag walang number at ikaw ay mag-generate ka ng hypothesis or ng mga framework, ano nang ang iyong ang design? Dalawa lang 'yon. Pag nagkamali pa kayo, ewan ko na.
Qualitative.
Oh, ang galing naman, 'di ba? Ang galing niya na sa research, quanti and quali. So that's the difference between quanti and quali. So we will only be able to determine whether our paper is a quanti or a quality research design in approach if we are able to read the literature and if we are able to identify a blind spot or blank spot. Kaya lang tayo, since quanti ang subject nyo sa akin, magfo-focus tayo sa blind spot. Paghahanapin ko kayo ng mga, pag-identify ko kayo ng topic na mayroong maraming literature. At the problem with research, you do not have a problem, but you need to look for a problem. No? Pero sa paghahanap ng problem, the indicator is blind spot. We will focus on blind spot only kasi po ang inyong subject sa akin ay quantitative. Pang-quali yung blank spot. Ano po? Binibigyan ko lang kayo ng overview para alam nyo kung paano mag-arrive at the correct design. Pa-thumbs up nga kung clear. Thumbs up please. Kung clear ang blank spot tsaka blind spot, kung anong difference ng dalawa. Good day. Ano po yung meeting ID? Rosemary? Meeting ID daw ang kailangan ni Rosemary. Pero nandito ka na, Rosemary. Ba't naghahanap ka pa ng meeting ID?
Hindi po. Ay po. Hindi po, sir.
Hindi ba ikaw nag-type nito?
Hindi po, sir.
Rosemary Gimpison.
Iba pong Rosemary.
Hindi po. Sorry.
Baka naligaw siya.
Rosemary Del Rosario po ako, sir.
Oo. Kung nandito ka man, Rosemary Gimpison. Teka lang, hanapin ko lang si Rosemary Gimpison. Rosemary, ikaw ay naliligaw. Mamaya pa tayong 3 p.m. At nasa GC na po yung meeting ID po. Nandun po yung link, no? See you later. Out ka muna, baka hindi ka namin classmate dito. Kasi may klase pa ako mamaya 3 p.m. Another group naman yon. So, binigyan ko na sila ng link. Kaya lang, naligaw. So, again, we are going to focus on the blind spot, no? Kasi quantitative ang ating So, all you need to do after identifying a topic is that you're going to go to EBSCO. Binanggit ko kanina, no? EBSCO. And then you need to sign in. And by signing in, you need to input the user ID and password, no? Alam niyo ba yung EBS ko na yan?
Yes po.
Yes po.
O, ano ibig sabihin ng EBS ko? Ano ibig sabihin ng EBS ko?
Database po siya ng mga researchers and journals that are
Ah.
published.
Okay, tama naman. Eh ano naman ang ibig sabihin ng EBS mo?
Grabe si sir.
Eh kasi EBS ko lang meron eh. Wala tayong EBS mo, no? Pagtsagaan nyo na yung EBS ko, no?
EBS natin, sir.
EBS, EBS nating lahat. O di sige, magpo-forward ako ng nabigyan ko na ba kayo ng ID and password?
Wala pa po.
Hindi pa po.
Not yet po.
Not yet, okay. Okay, so meron ako i-forward sa inyong GC. EDD EDMA Block 1, ano?
Black 1C po.
All right. Meron akong finorward na picture ng username and ID ng EBS ko. Username is Graduate School Live, small letters, password, hashtag MC Library 2020. So, ibig sabihin, kahit nasaan kayo, no? Kahit nasaan lupalop kayo ng Pilipinas, basta may internet, pwede na kayo mag-download ng articles, ng research articles ninyo, ng topic, ng articles related to your topic. So, after inputting your ID and password, ito yung makikita ninyo, no? You will be seeing a lot of databases. All you need to do is to select all of them. Click nyo na lang itong lahat. Automatic yan, lahat matitik na yan. No? Matik na ma-check na yan. Alright? After selecting all databases, you click continue. And then after that, you will be led to this page wherein you're going to input your IV and DV. Alright? Ano mauuna? IV, DV?
DV?
IV.
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 IV muna. O, kaya hindi pwede magkabaligtad yun. Maunang IV bago DV.
Yes.
Ulitin ko, for the nth time around, napakadaming inulit ko na, hindi pwedeng baligtaran dito. Hindi tayo pumapayag ng baligtaran. Kaya yung favorite number nyo na 69, huwag nyo munang i-apply dito. Baka hindi applicable yun. No? Pag sinabing IV, siya'y nasa left. Pag sinabing DV, siya'y nasa right. So lalagyan nyo lang siya ng word na end, no? Teaching strategy and student achievement. Sa cellphone ko lang ginawa yan kaya medyo mukha siyang Android, pang Android phone, no? And then after that, yun. After searching yung teaching strategy and student achievement, meron available pala na 345 research papers published about teaching strategy and student achievement. No? Ilan na requirement ko sa inyo?
Dalawa.
Anong dalawa?
P.
At least 50 man lang. Actually, sa masteral 50. Sa doctoral 100.
Na literature po.
Na literature.
Oh.
So yun. So kung 100, may sukli pa kayong 245. Di na kayo nagbayad. Sinuklihan pa kayo. Imagine niyo yan. Oh.
Kumita pa kami na.
Kumita pa kayo. Benta nyo na rin iba. Yung hindi nyo magagamit. At ang maganda rito ay mayroong PDF full text. Pag sinabing PDF full text, nandyan yung introduction, methods, results, and discussion. Ano yung hahanapin sa paper? Ano yung hahanapin para makakita ng blind spot?
Conflicting ideas.
Ano yun? Again, tama, pero pakiulit.
Conflicting or gap.
Conflicting finding.
Very good. So basahin nyo yung findings. Usually, ang findings ay nasa abstract yan. No? Maraming PDF yan, ano? Yeah. Usually, ito, ang laman yan, ang publishable research paper, merong title, merong author, merong abstract, tapos introduction, methods, results, and discussion. No? Yun lang laman ng publishable research paper. So dito pa lang sa abstract, meron na siyang findings. Bakit? Ano yung laman ng abstract? Objective, design, findings, and conclusion. So ano sa apat yung hanapin nyo? Alin doon sa apat na yon?
Findings po.
Findings lamang. Ito lang yung isang abstract. Ito yung abstract na hanapan nyo ng finding. So, mukha man siyang 100 pakinggan, napakadami. Pero yung babasahin nyo lang muna, itong abstract lang na to.
Performance of the post-mathematics assessment of students exposed thereby will show considerable increase in compose.
Ibig sabihin parang may effect siya, no?
Opo.
Yun lang. Ganun lang kasimple. Whether merong effect or hindi, hanapin nyo. So pag meron kang another study na nakuha na yung strategy ay hindi nakaka-apekto sa academic achievement, therefore, ang tawag doon is conflict na yon. So hindi ka titigil hanggat di ka nakakita ng conflicting findings. Ibig sabihin, magkakaiba yung mga findings nila. Alright? So yun yung ganun kadali ngayon ang research. Hindi mahirap ang research, napakadali lang. Ang kailangan lang tamang proseso. Tamang proseso lang talaga. And importante na maganda gadget nyo, na malaki memory kasi pwede nyo itong i-download at i-save sa inyong Android phone, tablets, laptops, desktop. Pwede nyo itong i-save para pag gumawa kayo ng review of related lit, ito na yung ngayon isa-summarize ninyo pag gumawa kayo ng related literature. Diba? O, kahit nasa bahay kayo, meron na kayong mga literature. Di katulad ng mga unang panahon, nung panahon pa ng Hapon, pupunta ka pa sa National Library, no, para makakuha ka ng literature. Kung tanungin yung mga lolo't lola niyo kung paano sila nagre-research noon. Noong mga unang panahon, ang pagpunta sa library ng bawat school, meron pang letter yan, magpapa-schedule ka, no, para lang ma-accept ka sa library nila. Ngayon hindi na. Di mo na kailangan ng letter. Ito na, binigay ko na sa inyo. All you need to do is to browse and to look for a literature that is related to your topic. All right. So do you have any questions so far? None? None so far. All right. So it is important that when you do your quantitative research, you need to read a lot of literature. Because when we develop our claims or hypotheses, it must be coming from the literature. The literature can give you a lot of claims, however, or hypotheses. However, these claims or these hypotheses are maybe contradicting with one another. No? And para masabi natin na tama yung ginagawa natin, ay according to evidence dapat siya. Evidence-based. Yung hypothesis natin ay dapat evidence-based. Yung claims natin ay evidence-based. Paano natin masasabi na evidence-based? Dapat manggagaling saan?
Literature.
Yun. The literature. All right. So, yun ang topic, yun ang step number 1 and step number 2. Kailangan ay nakapag-identify kayo ng topic at dapat kayo ay nakapag-review ng literature. Yung topic dapat meron na kayong IV, DV, no? At dapat magbabasa kayo ng literature according to related to your topic. Is that clear? Ano nakikita yung icon na nabuo?
Happy face.
Smiley.
Yun. If you do the correct process, hindi kayo magsasayang ng oras. Mag-smile na kayo na mag-smile. Para kayong baliw na nag-smile na wala smile. O magkakamalang kayong sinto-sinto. Sabi sa inyo, muret kayo, muret. Ngumingiti kayo na nang walang karason-rason. Yung pala, kaya ka nangingiti kasi nasa pang 99 literature ka na, isa na lang 100 na, kaya nangingiti ka na. And pag sinabing 100, do not be overwhelmed kasi bakit? Findings lang naman ang babasahin eh. Nasaan siya? Nasa abstract. Kaya kala ng iba, ang research ay mahirap. Madali lang po. Nasa tamang proseso lang po yan dapat. At baka yung ating mga seasoned teachers ng research, pinapahirapan tayo. Kaya ang tingin natin sa research, mahirap. No? Mga unang panahon, unang araw pa lang, okay class, you need to listen because our topic for today is a very difficult topic about research. Ganon. So umpisa pa lang, parang sinasabihan ka na mahirap yung research. Hindi po, madali lang po ang research. Ang kailangan niya lang po ay tamang guidance at mga resources na kailangan, lalo ngayong pandemic. At mas madali ngayong pandemic kasi marami kayong time. Tapos na mga form checking, tapos na LDM, no? Kami ngayon, busy ako ngayon dahil OPCRF eval namin ngayon na mga schools. Oh, kayo, yung mga teachers medyo ayahay na kasi tapos na pa kayo sa school forms na mga ninyo? Ay hindi pa rin.
Hindi pa po.
Hindi.
Tapos na po.
O di ba tapos na. Good for you. So marami na kayong time ngayon na
IPCRF na lang, sir.
IPC, panigurado naman yan, flat 5 yan. Alright? So I will stop from there kasi yun na yung assignment na gagawin ninyo.
Nainis ako sa mukha ko, hindi tuloy ako
Ba't ka naman nainis sa mukha mo? Hindi ka tuloy makapag-open ng camera?
Sorry po.
Huwag kang mainis sa mukha mo. Mukha mo yan eh. Huwag mo kainisan. Kasama mo araw-araw yan. Tapos kinaiinisan mo. Sabi ni Fernan, you cannot face the problem if the problem is your face. Alright. Pero joke lang yun. Ikaw kasi nagparinig ka ng, yan ang sinasabi kong ethics ng online classes. Kapag hindi kayo magsasalita, mag-off kayo ng audio ninyo kasi baka mamaya meron kayong mga sinasabi na akala nyo na naka-off, naririnig namin dito. Minsan nga narinig ko minsan, ay, luto yung ulam natin, tanghali na. Inuutusan niya asawa niya. Sabi ko, mag-off naman kayo ng audio. Pati ulam ninyo, nalalaman ko kung anong lulutuin. So anyways, I will stop from there. Because you need time, again, sabi natin kanina, for you to develop a quantitative research paper, you need time. What you need to do now, your assignment, is to identify topics, IVDV, and look for related literature, and you look for blind spot. Nakuha niyo po ba yon? Kasi quanti po ang inyong paper. Alright? And then, let me know kung matatapos nyo until Saturday next week. Kasi kung hindi nyo matatapos, mag-skip tayo na isang Saturday. Kung matatapos nyo, well and good. Kasi the continuation of our discussion, the input will be coming from your assignment. Na hindi tayo, kaya nga step by step, di ba? Na you cannot go to higher level or next steps without going through steps 1 and 2. So ngayon, nasa steps 1 and 2 pa lang tayo. Topic identification and review of literature. If you would like your topic or topics to be approved, paki-post sa GC natin at re-replyan ko ng approve or disapprove kung gusto ninyong ipa-approve. Alright? So, yung pagpa-approve ay pwede na mag-start tonight. Kasi may klase pa ako later. Hanggang gabi pa yung klase ko.
Opo.
No? So do you have any questions so far?
So more on talaga about school governance na po, tsaka more on leadership na po, no? Management, parang ganun po, no? Hindi na pwede yung no? Hello. Sige po.
Hindi
P1
pwede,
pa lang ako eh.
Hindi pwede yung alin? Hindi pwede yung alin?
Hindi na po yun pwede yung about sa teaching and learning process, tama?
Pang teacher kasi yun.
E1 pa lang ako, sir.
Pero nasa EdD ka, dapat ang topic mo pang management.
Sige po.
Dapat
Sige
pang
pa.
management. Alright, so I think we are done and I hope you learned something from our discussion. Did you learn something kahit konti?
Yes po, marami.
Lahat po. Marami.
Okay, good. Very good. So kung wala nang tanong, bigyan niyo ako ng signal doon sa GC kung kaya ninyo, mag-poll survey tayo doon sa GC kung kaya ninyong tapusin ng 1 week yung assignment.
Sir,
Yes po.
ako po, parang feeling ko hindi ko matatapos kasi next week po meron kaming presentation dun sa application project dun sa TPSLM po namin. Parang sabay-sabay po pati checking of school forms, Mancom.
IPCRF po muna ako sana tapos po focus na. 2 araw lang hinihingi ko, sir.
Sige. So haro, Diyos ko ne. Anong gagawin natin?
Kasi yung IPCRF po, deadline na po namin yan this week din po. So at least po, pag natapos na yun, free na po kami.
Free talaga. Sige.
So yung pong review of related lit, 100 po yun.
Sige, for humanitarian reason, 15 na lang muna.
Yay!
Thank you po.
For humanitarian reason.
Nakapag-login na kayo, guys? Na-try nyo na? Parang...
Hindi kayo makalagin?
Hindi po.
Ha?
Try ko na,
gagawin
sir.
pa po
Okay
yung
naman.
sir? Gagawin pa po yung template na pinresent ko po kanina o tuloy na po kami dun sa identification of topics and related?
Sige, tuloy na kayo sa IVDV and review of
IVDB,
lit.
tapos topic.
Okay po.
Tapos yung ulit.
Tapos blind spot. Bibilangin nyo kung ilan ang nagko-contradict. Kung ilan ang contradicting. Ganun.
Kung ilan
Thank you
yung
po,
pro
sir.
at anti, no, sir? Para paghihiwalayin sila para malaman kung may blind spot siya.
That's right. So basta findings lang muna ang babasahin, no? Sige, so since meron kayong mga hinanaing sa buhay, we will see each other a week after next week.
May pinagdadaanan na, sir.
May pinagdadaanan sa buhay. Merong mabigat na pinagdadaanan sa buhay.
Yes.
Mukhang kailangan isulat yan kay Charo Santos. Kailangan sarado na ang Channel 2. Kaya na lang kay Mike Enriquez na. O kaya kay na lang kay kay Tulfo na lang.
Ala?
Tulfo.
Kamo inaharas kayo ng teacher niyo sa research. Hindi kamo kayo naiintindihan. Ano kayo mangyari? Ito ipatulfo niyo kaya ako, no? Dahil di ako papayag, kailangan next week meron na, no? Tapos tulfo. Sige. Kung hindi kayo makapag-open, i-try niyo yung link. Dapat yung actual link ang inyong gamitin. Yung actual link, ito yung http://search.ebscohost.com then / Yan mismo i-type ninyo, no? Gumagana yan at kakatry ko lang yan. Alright? So, hindi nyo na kailangan pumunta sa library kasi binigyan ko na kayo ng sarili nyong library. Wow, social, may sariling library sa bahay.
Thank you so much po.
Thank you po.
Yan ay $500,000 ang subscription niyan. Kaya i-maximize yung gamit. Mahal yan.
Thank you po.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome po. Sige po.
Nakaka-excite naman magbasa.
Nakaka-excite. Sige. Parang gusto kong yung word na na-excite sa pagbabasa. Very good. Sige. Kung wala nang tanong, I think I will end from here. And we will continue our discussion next time. Continuation na. Kasi tutulungan ko na kayo kung paano mag-develop ng hypothesis, framework, and objectives. And then later on, mga designs na. Ifa-follow natin yung research process na pinakita ko kanina. Para mag-guide ko kayo, I will journey with you para matuto kayo ng tama. This time, tamang paggawa ng research. Hindi yung unang araw pinagde-develop ng 3 title
Opo,
sa research.
Correct po.
Ganun yung ginawa sa amin dati.
Oh, mga ano yun, mga seasoned researcher yun. Hindi updated. Hindi updated sa 21st century process. Kahit yung mga ulo mo sa pader, walang title na lalabas dyan. Bukol siguro meron. Tsaka dugo. Kaya ang kadalasan, yung mga estudyante, pupunta lang ng library, mang-open na lang ng title kasi wala namang kaalam-alam sa research. Mula nung last week, may binanggit na ba ako na magde-develop kayo ng title?
Hindi.
Wala pa po.
Wala pa. Kasi ang title, later on siya dinidevelop. Malalaman nyo later on na wow, ang dali pala mag-develop ng title kapag nagawa pala to. Malalaman niya later on. And it's very exciting, tama kayo doon. And it's very easy to do a research. No? Rewarding at the same time. Alright, so yung ating leader of the band ay nag-ano na ba? Nag-class picture na ba?
Sir Richard, thank you po.
Sir Richard.
Meron na po.
Meron na. Aba, bilis na. Sige. Pa-post na lang sa ating GC para sa ating MOVs. Akala nyo sa DepEd lang may MOVs, meron din sa grants.
Po lahat po.
Po ngayon ang ginagamit. Artifacts na po instead of MOVs.
Nabago na. Sige. So kung wala nang tanong, mag-iingat kayo at malakas pa rin ang ulan, makulimlim at mahangin.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, everyone.
Salamat po. Thank
Thank
you.
you po.
See you next
Thank you
time.
po.
Ingat, sir.
Thank you po.
Ingat kayo. Once after this, may upload ko tong video after matapos yung recording. Thank you. Ingat. Bye-bye.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po, Prof.
Bye po.